I mean, like you said. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the April 15th regular meeting. Hopefully everybody got their taxes done on time. Regular meeting of the Commission to Address Homelessness. I am going to bring a little bit of Gina humor color into being the chair this year. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask my Vice Chair, Commissioner Hurst, to lead us in the pledge.
Face the flag, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to have Ben just lead it from now on?
People are already laughing. This is good. This is good. All right, let me do the house cleaning items here. So the agenda for today contains a brief general description of each item to be considered. Except as provided by law, no action shall be taken on any item not appearing on the agenda. The Commission to Address Homelessness encourages public participation. If you wish to speak on any item appearing on the agenda or during general public comments, please complete a speaker request form and turn that in to the clerk prior to the reading of the item. Hopefully I didn't smack you in the face there. Okay. Sorry, I'm supposed to address you as Commissioner. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will run the timer and announce when your time is up. Public comment may also be submitted electronically by emailing cob.response@cob.oc.gov. With that, we will move on to roll call. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Commissioners. Please indicate your presence when I call your name. Commissioner Cunningham.
Here.
Commissioner Hurst.
Here.
Commissioner Sarmiento. Here. Commissioner Wynn. Commissioner Spitzer.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Asuncion.
Here.
Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner Parks.
Here.
Commissioner Shinagawa.
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez.
Present.
Commissioner Rose.
Here.
Commissioner Bruno Nelson.
Here.
Commissioner Hicks.
Here.
Commissioner Bobko.
Here.
Commissioner Trejo.
Here.
Commissioner Rios Faust.
Here.
And Commissioner Morse.
Here.
Thank you. Noting for the record, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As a reminder, everyone, please be aware that the room is hot mic'd for a live stream of the meeting. Additional microphones are placed on the table in front of you. Commissioners, please speak into the microphone so it may be picked up by the live stream. And please try to keep any side conversations to a minimum because they are also picked up on the hot mic. At this time, we will take public comment from any members of the public wishing to speak on any non-agenda topics that are under the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
We have not received any requests to speak.
Thank you. Before we move on to Commissioner comments for today's meeting, I want to take a moment and welcome our newest Commissioner, Chief Adam Foster from the City of La Habra as the Police Chief Representative. Commissioner Foster, would you like to just say a few words?
Thank you so much. I'm taking over the reins from Chief Adam Hawley from the City of Brea, also a North Spa participant. So I'm excited to not only represent the North Spa, but the Chiefs of Orange County.
Fantastic. We're excited to have you here. We will now move, am I okay? We now move on to the discussion items on our agenda. Oh, I'm supposed to ask for commissioner comments. Yeah, I know. So do we have any commissioner comments at this time? Now, to remind you on the agenda today, we will have a moment that I will be asking every one of you to speak. But please, if you've got anything great news you want to share right now with us, please let me know. Okay. We will now move on to the discussion items on our agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please read the first item?
Item 1 is the Commission to Address Homelessness update, which includes updates on membership, the 2025 Commission to Address Homelessness annual report, and the COC program notice of funding opportunity. And we have no requests from the public to speak on this item.
Doug, will you please provide an update for us?
Absolutely. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for coming to our April 2026 commission meeting. I'm going to give a few brief updates. First, starting out with our commissioner updates. As Gina mentioned, we have some membership update for this particular meeting. On March 24th, the Orange County Board of Supervisors approved the recommendations this commission made in regards to membership at our last meeting. And to remind folks what that is, that was reappointing Commissioner Cunningham and Commissioner Bruno Nelson to their respective seats, and bringing on Commissioner Foster as the Chief of Police representative. So we're incredibly excited to have Commissioner Cunningham and Commissioner Bruno Nelson back and bring on Commissioner Foster. You all may remember in our February meeting, the Commission approved the 2025 annual report, the Commission's annual report. This is the first report of its kind when the Commission brought revised bylaws to the Board of Supervisors back in, I believe, February or March of last year. One of the additions the board had made to our bylaws was to have to ensure that an annual report was submitted up to the board each year. So the Office of Care Coordination drafted annual report and presented it to this commission in February. It was approved. It had highlighted four sections. Speaking about the revised structure that was achieved in the year 2025, continuing initiatives, collaboration, and some landscape work that was done. At the March 24th, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting, the Board of Supervisors received and filed that report. And then lastly, in terms of the commission updates, I want to provide a little bit of an update on a reoccurring item on our agenda, which is the COC Continuum of Care Program Notice of Funding Opportunity progress. So just to give a little bit of a recap, back in December of 2025, a coalition of local governments and nonprofit organizations led by the National Alliance to End Homelessness filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, in the U.S. District Court for the District of Rhode Island, challenging the changes that HUD made to the FY 2025 Continuum of Care Program NOFO that was released on November 13, 2025. HUD withdrew that NOFO to make revisions and reissued an updated NOFO a few days later. And then on December 23rd, the U.S. District Court issued a written preliminary injunction blocking HUD from implementing these new funding rules and preserving the prior 2-year NOFO framework while the case proceeded. And we've been providing these updates, as many of you know, over really the last 3 to 4 meetings. In February, just past, I believe, our February meeting, HUD moved to dissolve the preliminary injunction on February 17th. And on February 27th, the court denied that motion to dissolve the injunction. In March, HUD submitted an appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First District requesting a stay from the underlying preliminary injunction. So HUD has continued to fight this lawsuit. On April 1st, the Court of Appeals for the First Circuit ruled that HUD's motion to stay pending appeal is denied. So the appeals court denied their stay. The ruling declared that the notice announcing the funding opportunities, the new political criteria used by HUD when deciding to issue the grants, and the 1-week application period for the grants, to be all to be unlawful in ordered the policies vacated and set aside. So the Court of Appeals for the First Circuit additionally ordered the already appropriated funding to remain available for award, consistent with the court's order. So long story short, the court continues to side with the National Alliance to End Homelessness and the other groups that have sued to stop the FY 2025 no vote for moving forward in the direction that HUD wanted them to move. Additionally, in February, early February, the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2026 set a variety of requirements for FY 2025's funding for time and contract renewals. In that act, HUD was ordered to immediately non-competitively renew all projects expiring in Q1, January to March of 2026 for a 12-month period. If HUD did not make awards by April 1st, which they did not, they are now required to renew all projects that expire in the second quarter from April to June. And then if HUD does not make awards by July 1st, HUD's required to renew all of the remaining grants that expire through the rest of the year. So projects renewed under this provision also can't be penalized or deemed ineligible in any funding opportunity at FY 25-26. So all of that, as we've spoken about at many of our meetings, is really technical. The COC process is an incredibly technical process in which each community seeks renewal of all the different grants they have in their community as a collective body. So it is, I think, what we were hoping for in terms of ensuring some stability in our community around programs, as we understand that there may be in the future and most likely a shift in this program. The challenges might be helpful to remind folks is the big argument, and especially what was discussed here, was specifically on the timing that HUD was looking to make these changes. The changes that the FY 2025 NOFO was seeking were drastic changes for each and every community in the country. And regardless of the view on what those changes were, it was really like trying to, make a huge Freightliner turn on a dime. The timing was just so quick. So this ruling is allowing for some grace period. In terms of our community, this first quarter, so consistent with the Consolidated Appropriations Act, HUD announced across the board that they were renewing the first quarter grants, the grants that expired in the first quarter. So for us here in Orange County, we relied $2.5 million. And we're working very closely, our office is working very closely with the organizations that are receiving that funding to ensure a smooth transition. So I'm going to pause there for a second, if you don't mind. Now, those are the updates on the Commission to Address Homelessness updates. And maybe some questions.
Thank you, Doug, for that important update. I'd like to now open up for any commissioner discussion. Okay, great.
So I'll move forward.
Rushing my part.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And once again, welcome to our returning commissioners and our new commissioner. And Madam Clerk, will you please read the next item?
Item 2 is the Office of Care Coordination update, which includes updates on the OC Same-Day Solutions Fair, the Homeless Prevention Framework Project, and the operator for bridges at Trailer Place.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and Doug, will you please give us an update? I want to say that I do love the Same-Day Solutions Fair. I love that we're doing that every month now. I think it's really helping to get our unhoused neighbors the assistance that they need. And so I'd love to hear what's been happening lately.
Yeah, thank you. So, the Same-Day Solutions Fair has been really one of the shining pieces of the work that I think our office has been involved in over the last year. And and since we last met, we've happened to have 3 events in the last, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks. So at the end of February, we partnered with his OC and our Commissioner Trejo on hosting a same-day solutions fair in the city of Placentia, which was incredibly successful. Roughly 200 unique individuals came through the door. We had over 20 vendors there. Each and every one of these events, as I've mentioned before, are successful for a whole bunch of reasons. A, it helps folks get really, really important services. B, it is an example of, each and every one of the vendors that comes to these events, they do that work every day, regardless of whether there's an event or not. So this is a day that brings together all these vendors and is a really good example in one place of all the really great work that happens in Orange County day in, day out by a variety of groups to help this population. And then third is what we've seen through the different iterations of this, it's really turned into a great opportunity for a lot of colleagues and partners to be together in one place and to network and to partner in ways that we weren't doing so. And I mean partner not only for the Same Day Solutions Fair, but outside of the Same Day Solutions Fair. So we really appreciate that. So we had our February 1 was in Placentia, then our March 1 was at the Hub OC. Now, you all may recall, this is the second time the Same Day Solutions Fair has been at the Hub. The Hub is in, the city of Orange, and it's essentially a drop-in center. And when we first, when our first Same Day Solutions Fair was at the Hub, it just felt like such a perfect marriage. Drop-in centers are essentially a model that is very similar to what we're trying to achieve with the Same Day Solutions Fair. It's a place where people can come and seek services. So they really embraced us, and as a result of that, first Same Day Solutions Fair in Orange, we realized we need to be there more often. People that, they have over 150 people that walk through the doors day in and day out seeking services. It's also in the central spot in the county. So we entered into a contract with them, and they are going to be doing Same Day Solutions Fairs on every other month. So on every even month, they will be hosting a Same Day Solutions Fair. And then on every odd month, we will be continuing our sort of tour around the county, partnering with different cities and nonprofits to do so. And that included our our April fair, which was yesterday, with the city of Costa Mesa, which was also a really successful event, where we partnered with the city of Costa Mesa, had over 30 vendors in Lions Park in front of the library, and had a really good turnout for individuals. Our next one is May 13th at the Hub, because we're on in 9 months, so we'll be at the Hub next month. And then moving forward, we're securing locations in different cities. We're hopeful that we'll be able to announce in the very near future Same Day Solutions Fair down in South County in June, and then be up in North in August, and back in Central in October. In terms of our homeless prevention framework projects, the Office of Care Coordination is contracted with the Corporation for Supportive Housing to develop a comprehensive homeless prevention model rooted in best practices that ensures proactive utilization of all homeless prevention resources and prioritizes homelessness prevention efforts. So many of you, if not all of you, have been contacted and have participated in this exercise. So very much motivated by an interest in the work of this commission around the prevention pillar. Our office has been working with the Corporation for Supportive Housing since late last year to really better understand all of the different resources in our county that provide some level of prevention service. There's been a community listening session and an opportunity for individuals and organizations and jurisdictions to fill out a survey that provides us with a tremendous amount of information in regards to what's going on here in Orange County and helping us guide our efforts moving forward. So we'll be excited to share that in meetings, the results of those efforts in the next couple of meetings. And then the last update. So this is a real housekeeping update, and a very significant one. So we're really proud of the work that happens at our shelters and the impact that these shelters have on helping people exit homelessness. And I mean, not only all of the 60-plus shelters that are here in Orange County, but very specifically the 2 shelters that our office oversees, which is Yale Navigation Center here in the city of Santa Ana that serves 425 folks, has capacity for 425 folks, and then Bridges at Kramer Place, which is located in the city of Anaheim, that has capacity of 200 folks. At the end of this fiscal year, our contracts with those operators expire, and what we do with whenever our contracts expire and we're seeking to continue the service or resource, we put out a request for proposal earlier this fiscal year, seeking applicants who are interested in being the operator of our 2 shelters. At our March 24th Board of Supervisors meeting, the board approved operators for both Yale and Bridges. As a result of that request for proposal that went out in September of 2025, that resulted in us receiving 1 proposal for the operations of Yale Navigation Center. That proposal was submitted by PATH, People Assisting the Homeless. They are currently our operator, and the Board of Supervisors approved a new contract with them to continue to operate Yale at Yale Navigation Center. In regards to Bridges at Kramer Place, we received 3 proposals and 3 responses to our request for proposal. PATH, People Assisting the Homeless, also applied for the operations of that shelter, and it resulted in them receiving the highest score and being approved by the Board of Supervisors on March 24th to operate Bridges at Kramer Place essentially from July 1st for the next several years. That means that's a change in the operator. Bridges at Kramer Place opened, I believe, in 2018, and we, in partnership, our operator since 2018 has been Mercy House. We really appreciate and value the partnership we've had with Mercy House when it comes to Bridges at Kramer Place. Bridges was the first shelter for the county here in Orange County, a really important program from the onset. Mercy House has been our partner from the beginning. We really value that partnership. So we are excited to start a new partnership with at Bridges at Kramer Place. Just to get a little bit in the weeds to anticipate any potential questions, the contract for PATH starts on May 1st, and that will allow for 2 months of overlap between Mercy House, the current operator, and PATH, the future operator, to ensure a smooth transition. I and my colleagues at the Office of Care Coordination have been at Bridges at Kramer Place several times over the last several months to ensure that we are keeping the people who are living at Bridges at Kramer Place fully updated on this transition and to answer any questions and ensure that to our best of our ability that people feel is the smallest amount of negative impact as possible. as you can imagine, you know, with the change in operator and people who are, you know, the close to 200 people living at Bridges and Kramer Place, you know, that's big news. They're used to having Mercy House there. There's a lot of questions that we fielded during that time, and we are really committed to ensure that the transition to the path is a smooth one. We understand that transition doesn't end July 1st. It's really the transition that will take place, you know, well throughout the year. That's all that is.
Thank you, Doug, for those important updates. I would like to open it up to any commissioners that would like to discuss item 2. Yes, Commissioner.
Great report, and I appreciate what you're doing. Do you have dates, location for the dates in August and October for the one-day fair?
We don't have dates yet. And I just to always use the opportunity, you know, Commissioner Pitts hosted and arguably went out on somewhat of a limb and hosted the first same-day solutions fair at the Second Baptist Church. So, you know, just another example of all the commissioners who played such a big role in coordinating the efforts. We don't have those dates yet, but hopefully we'll have them soon.
Well, you can consider our location being something for those dates.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing no more. Yes.
Hi, I just want to clarify earlier, this is Vasila Malacross, I know you have Supervisor Sargento. Thank you, Doug, for those updates. Could you just remind me how your team refers the individuals to the Same Day Solutions Fair or how they're involved about this event?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so our team works diligently on a handful of fronts to get as widespread outreach to folks as possible. So, first I'll say our outreach engagement team, that's the countywide outreach team, you know, is out there every day working with individuals and informing them of the upcoming Same Day Solutions Fair. We reach out to all of the shelters in Orange County to inform them and to advertise. We send out we send it out to our distribution lists that are fairly large, specifically our COC distribution list, our continuum of care, and then our office's distribution list. It's for us, we are really, you know, everyone is welcome through the door, and I think what we've seen over the course of the 5 events that we've done, 6 events that we've done, is it's really interesting because, you know, especially with our work at the shelter of Bridges and Yale, we're often dealing with adults, individual adults, and adult households. So for me, I'm always thinking those are going to be the folks that are most commonly walking through. But we've really seen a mixed group of folks that have walked through the door. Obviously, folks experiencing homelessness on the street, in shelters, but we've also seen families come through the doors and get help that have children. We've seen programs, behavioral health programs, you know, substance use programs that have brought folks. In Placentia, I remember that 2 women came to the event on the bike and said that they were at Lewis' kitchen in the city of Costa Mesa the prior night and were informed about the event and decided to jump on the bike and come out. So the word is really spread. We have partners, you know, our vendors that show up regularly have been really big resources for outreach, whether it's through our partnership with the court system, meaning public defenders, or the district attorney's office that provide services there. Also, we have a group, a nonprofit that provides haircuts at each and every one of the events, Revival Hair, that does a lot of work throughout the county at similar events that has started to, you know, get sort of a following. So it's really been a great opportunity to engage folks that I would say we may not traditionally engage. So yeah, it's something we try to, you know, protest I'm for.
Thank you. If I could just add, as you were listing the different ways to do stuff for those, maybe in that school district, I know that the schools have been kicking into lists for families, maybe they could share it with them as well to get them to attend the events.
Thank you both. And Doug, I'm curious, are we going to gather data on how much is this actually helping lead people into shelter or housing, or what are we missing? I mean, obviously there's not enough housing to place people into, but I believe at the end of last year you gave us some data points from those different fairs, and I would love to see that maybe every quarter to see if there's anything else that we're missing that we should be able to bring to the table for these folks that are coming to these fairs, and make sure that we thought of everything that they might need.
Yeah, we can definitely do our best to bring data either in June or August. We do our best to, because we collect name and date of birth, 99% of the folks are going to give that information. We enter it into HMIS, our interest, and we try to do our best to track how many folks have been housed since the event, what are they receiving, things of that nature. So yeah, we'll definitely bring some data in the coming months.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, seeing no more commissioner that would like to speak, Madam Clerk, will you please read the next item?
Yes, item 3 is the 2026 Commissioner Objectives. And we have no request from the public to speak on this item.
Thank you. I'm going to request that everyone speak on this item. So, as the newly appointed chair, I wanted to take some time to better understand who each and every one of you are. I've worked with many of you in this room, but I haven't worked with many of you in this room. And I know that we're kind of a new commission. We've had a lot of new commissioners come on as of late. And I really wanted to take the time today, as my first meeting as chair, to hear from each of you about what is your reason for being here? We all put our name in the hat and into a certain seat. I sit in the affordable housing seat. And I'm here obviously because I want to build housing, because I know that that's truly the solution that's going to address homelessness and help people into safety. So my pillar sits over here in housing. But I would like to ask everyone, starting with my vice chair, to really tell me, why are you here, Commissioner Hurst? And out of the 4 pillars, what is your most important pillar that you would like us to focus on so we understand who each other are, and then we can hopefully work together a lot faster as a commission to help really bring some solutions forward for the Board of Supervisors to consider. So, Commissioner Hurst, I'm going to call you first.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair Cunningham. It's a pleasure to serve as Vice Chair. Thank you for that. I want to start by sharing, I believe in this commission. I have since I started to serve some years ago. I'm driven by the extraordinary need of homelessness in our community. I believe in the United States of America, and especially in the County of Orange, housing should be a human right. I feel the urgency of that, and have dedicated my professional career to working in that space, most notably, of course, through the Salvation Army. If those present aren't familiar with our work, specifically the Center of Hope in Anaheim. That drives me. The urgency of the need drives me. The opportunity really animates my spirit. But what I love, and I was thinking about this this morning, so thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Chair. What I love is I think the right people are in the room, right here, right now, in this moment, in this hour of need for our community. I believe that. I've had the great privilege of professionally working with some past members of this commission, perhaps even a few of the original founders, going back, I don't know, 10 years ago, I don't know. I know some of the story, not all of it, but these were champions in our community that stretched and reached and did 10-year strategic plans and galvanized a community to stand up 2,500 plus shelter beds and established a pipeline for permanent supportive housing. These are extraordinary things. And then they've passed the baton to us in this hour, and I think the right people are in this room. I believe that with conviction. I think we're ready. It's our turn. It's our time. So I sit here today, not just as vice chair, to serve and support you and support our chair. Congratulations again, Chair Cunningham. I sit here today in the philanthropic seat, and I relish that opportunity because I believe with fire that if this commission can roll up our sleeves under the leadership of our chair, and if we can unite together and come up with the next bold strategic vision for addressing homelessness in this county, whatever that is, represented by what you may share around this room today and build upon that, I believe the community will rise up and respond. I've seen that happen at Center of Hope with the Salvation Army. I think the community is waiting for bold aspirational leadership in this space, and that's what this commission's here for. I think that's why we've been constituted. So I'm here. I offer myself in service of whatever this commission comes up with. Again, sitting in the philanthropic seat. If we can come up with an idea that's got that wow factor, okay, whatever that is, and that's a blank slate before that group. But what I can tell you from my own experience is the community has to hear it and say, that has to be done, right? That's what we're looking for. That has to be done. And if we can get to that place, we'll see magic happen, and it's an honor to be here and serve you. Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Priscilla, would you like to say any words from Commissioner Sarmiento?
Yes, thank you. I'll speak high level to this on behalf of the supervisor. I'm sure you guys are all aware how he is, highlights the need for prevention in Orange County when it comes to homelessness. He started the Homeless Prevention and Stabilization Program in 2024. And so that's something that's really important to him because he sees it as a way to prevent folks from losing the roof over their head. And it's a costlier method to keep people housed and to prevent trauma. So that's something that he's still trying to champion here in the county, to dedicate more resources to it. And so I know it's really important to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Can I go last?
You want to go last? Yes, we will give you. Okay, we've got Commissioner Rios Spouse.
I have a few more minutes. So I am going to try and do this succinctly since I am going to try and balance my two hats. One is as the CEO of Human Options and working with providers of relationship plans. And I think the pillars, the two that really stick out for me in that role are really prevention and shelter. Prevention because we know that the leading cause of homelessness for women in Orange County and throughout the state is domestic violence. That's how they end up in emergency shelters and on the street. So that happened. Looking at this from the seat that I'm in, which is the continuum of care, really all four pillars apply. And the ability to have those four pillars in order to make a better continuum of care for our residents and our unhoused neighbors is critically important. So I want to sort of balance both of those. I think when I look at, again, sort of balancing both hats, the most important thing that, one of the reasons I wanted to be here is I think communication across sectors is critically important, not just for victims of domestic violence, but when you think about those that are unhoused, there's so many barriers to getting housing, and each one of us plays a role in that. So being able to work across sector and prioritize the needs of those that are in this county, I think is critically important. We have an opportunity to do that here and to reduce the layers of rules and policies that really come to something that makes it more a simpler process to get people into services and to be able to prioritize the services that they need in the moment instead of creating longer wait times and by making sure that we're really funding and supporting that work. So to me, really, this is an opportunity. The specific gap is cross-sector collaboration. Without that, we're not going to get much further. And then I think in terms of efforts and things that I'm committed to is really making sure that I'm communicating here what the COC is focused on, which is really the continuum of care, and specifically the people on the Continuum of Care Board are really focused on the service delivery and the more specific housing and the supportive services. And so being able to bring that information here and sharing it as relevant and taking communication back to the COC. So really making sure that we are transparent in our communication across both pieces. And then also, again, as the CEO of Human Options, always communicating where I understand and see the need for us to always center the needs of those who are impacted in relation to violence and how it's really important to understand those needs and to understand the needs of other special populations as we move forward to make decisions about system level changes. And I think I answered.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to point out that I would like to see us collaborate more with the COC. I know that we had a joint meeting last year. I missed that meeting, unfortunately, and I think that we could do that more often because I think it's important that we share what both entities are doing to try to combat this problem. Thank you. Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. As a health plan representative, I think our focus for Optima Health is always going to be on the housing and the prevention side. However, I don't think that we have the luxury or we have to have the commitment to all four of the pillars. Our members represent and are experiencing homelessness in all four of those. So I think that all four of them are important. For me, I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what you said. The lack of coordination across the county saddens me. And I think a lot of it is systemic. But I also think a lot of it can be rectified or fixed. For those of you who know me well, know that I take great pride in the fact that I'm a social worker. I always say from the bottom of my foot to the top of my head, I'm actually breeding social workers in my house. My son is graduating with his MSW from Fullerton in a matter of 4 weeks. One of the saddest experiences I had as a parent and as a social worker is that he did an internship here in the county and was saddened. It saddened me because he said that he felt like the vast majority of his time at this particular place was telling members that called in that he could not help them because they did not reside in the city with which he worked. This goes against the grain of social work. He had to tell people over and over again that he couldn't help them. And I have to try to justify to him as a social worker why that's a good system. It's not a good system. It's not okay. I understand we have it, but I don't think that we are handcuffed in fixing it. I would love to see our commission work in that. I agree with Dr. Hurst. I don't know what that thing is, but if it revolved around making sure that our future social workers don't have to tell folks that they can't help them because of where they happen to be experiencing homelessness, that would be great. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. I agree with you. Commissioner Pitts.
Good afternoon. Typically, when I have a mic in front of me and a suit on, that means I'm to preach a 40-minute sermon, but I shall resist.
Clerk.
And I also take an offering, but people. So, all the pillars matter to me. I was homeless when I was in college for about 8 months, slept in the back of my truck, so this means something to me. Our church is located in Santa Ana, one of the most challenging zip codes in Orange County, and our church does not belong to us. We wanted to give it to this community, so that's why it's important for us to serve on commissions. Also important for us to give our facilities back to the community that birthed us. Lastly, I believe that the challenge of my faith is to serve the least of these. And so I'm here because I want to serve the least of these. And lastly, this last point, it's not been 40 minutes. I'm proud of a county that this affluent, that has such a diversity of economic situations that would have a commission like this. And so I want to be a part of something greater than I am. And so I am here despite Doug's threats to get me here. But I'm proud of what the work is and what we're going to do.
Can I say amen? Thank you. And I don't know your name, but you're here representing Commissioner Spitzer.
I am. My name is Leslie Young. I'm a senior assistant district attorney, and I'm appearing on behalf of District Attorney Spitzer today, so thank you for having me. The district attorney's role falls primarily within the prevention pillar, and that is demonstrated through our commitment to programs such as the First Point Pre-Filing Diversion Program, our involvement in the Homeless Outreach Court, and we're very proud to be a part of the Same Day Solutions Fair. We also are in a partnership with the Office of Care Coordination in implementing Proposition 36, which primarily is seeking to provide treatment to people with drug and alcohol issues. All of these efforts are designed to divert individuals away from the criminal justice system and to support their journey toward a stable, independent living. But I want to note that the district attorney's role on this commission expands beyond just his current role. He, as a former supervisor and legislator, was actively contributing significantly to the shelter and housing pillar. He played a key role in establishing the first shelter in Orange County, and he was committed to outreach efforts along the riverbed. So he is very proud to be a part of this commission, and thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Commissioner Foster, this is your first time, so now we want to know why you.
I know, and I get to speak twice, so I feel special. So first, one most important thing for everyone to understand is I represent the Orange County Chief of Police Association, and so really what I'm here is to be the eyes and ears for them, report back at our monthly meetings the things that I learn and all the great things that we're doing here on the commission, and then hopefully provide some type of perspective from a chief's view or from another chief's view throughout the county. But I'm also a chief in La Habra, a city in the North Spa, and we have our own perspectives, and I hope to share that as well. Maybe some of you know or don't know, but we try to be very collaborative in the North Spa area. We have something called the Hope Center, something that we use through all the cities. And it's a way to provide resources, not just to one city, but all the cities in the North Orange County area that are part of our spa. And in reality, whether we're accomplishing it or not, the goal is coordination. And I've heard that a couple times. I know the frustration of feeling like you're in a silo and your problem is stuck in your city, but it really isn't. It's in every city. And so if there's a resource that we can share, that's what we try to do. And you know, really on that point, I would really say that for the chiefs, all four pillars are vital to us. Each one we impact in some way, and it could be something as simple as communication and understanding. You know, for example, the long-term housing, well, what would law enforcement have to do with that? Well, we would want to know what we could do to ensure that the long-term housing is successful, that we're not part of the problem, that we're part of the solution. So that would just be maybe even something as simple as communication. So look forward to sitting on this and being a representative for the Orange County Chiefs.
Thank you, Commissioner Foster, and welcome again. Commissioner Morris. Sandoval.
Thank you. It took me a long time to get people to do that, and I am sworn in as Robert Sandoval Morris, officially. Now, as far as, I am also a continual care board member, involved in a whole lot of things. One of my favorites is being on the steering committee for the street medicine team. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you.
Nice job setting that up. I don't know how many of you are familiar, but there is a street medicine team in 4 cities. On each one of their steering committees is a member of the Continual Care's lived experience advisors. We volunteer for that. I have personally gone out and watched the street medicine team work. I've seen how much respect they treat their clients, how hard they try to get them signed up for regular medical care. I spent over 10 years on the streets. It is kind of a stressful situation at times. And these little breaks where they're being helped by the street medicine team, by the same-day solutions where slowly will change the mental attitude that they don't trust the government at all. Now, none of us trust the government now, but some people won't accept help just because of their experiences in the past. And what else? What else? I keep on getting drafted by the Office of Care Coordination, where they stick my name out for anybody who's looking for somebody with my experience and knowledge to participate in something else. I've got to turn a couple down. But one of the things I think we're weak at is seniors. The coordination for helping homeless seniors in this county sucks. Seniors go all over the place. We've got a couple of county commissions or committees. Seniors, they go to every city's senior center. This is not all coordinated at all. The knowledge is not passed around from one group to another. And I think this is where we really need to do something. Kindly before I pass away. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bob. I believe having our seats here on this commission of people that have lived experience is extremely important. I say to my own board of directors all the time, how can we sit in a room and talk about what we think people need? We need to hear what people need. So, Commissioner Morris and Bob is our lived experience, and so is my friend Commissioner Canelo over there, who works at his OC, so we'd like to hear from you. Next.
Awesome. I joined this commission just to sit next to Virgil. I joined this commission, just to understand the aspects of, the county guidelines. I oversee the three shelters in Placencia, and they're pretty structured. I believe in structure. I believe in the old school fundamentals, and the basic keys, helping, the clients get back on their feet, if we can. But just to understand, and maybe educate some of you, I've been homeless. I've started doing methamphetamine at the age of 12, gangbanging and all that stuff that comes with it, And just to educate you guys, hopefully if you guys want to hear, what works, what doesn't work, because obviously some things just don't work in the county of Orange, let's be honest, Ms. Bruno, I think Ms. Bruno Nelson shared the lack, maybe the communication, they're in our city, people are in our cities. But how do we figure out how to help the clients, what I'm saying? Everybody knows is just the shelters, but there's more than just shelters that will take people that are from out of county, I'm talking about sober living homes, I'm talking about, churches. There's many, many homes that people don't know, they don't know about. So how do we get those tools to the outreach workers, to start housing folks and getting people off the streets? I know if an outreach worker came to me when I was in the streets on a Saturday and said, hey, we can't get you into a shelter until Monday, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go get high. Let's be real. Me being the addict that I am, I'm not gonna wait for you guys. I'm not gonna sit at the same spot for a Monday. Okay, I'm ready now, How do we get creative? And I think that's the key that we're missing in the county of Orange is how do we get creative on helping folks and bridging that gap? Another reason why I joined as well is, it's just to be able to give other ex-gang members, drug addicts like myself, that you can get to where I'm at in life, I come from nothing, and here I am sitting with, and I don't mean no disrespect, and I might call you guys squares, you know what I mean? Because most of you guys have never lived that life of addiction and gang lifestyle, maybe a few. But to be able to give that ex-gang member, hey, it's okay to hang out with this Orange County Sheriff and La Habra PD, just to be able to say, hey, we can trust them and co-work together, to be able to give people that it's okay, you know, but we gotta get creative, and I hope that, you know, I could share my thoughts on here without anyone getting offended, you know, because we all have different opinions on how to help homelessness and how to cure it. But at the end of the day, if we don't come together and start making things happen, nothing's gonna change. You know, and I'm talking about, we don't need to have 15 meetings in order to get the ball rolling. We need to get the ball rolling now and not 2 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for your honesty. We want you to tell the truth in this room and speak your truth. The only way that we are going to actually solve this is if we do that. So thank you. Okay, Commissioner Ascension. Did I get it close?
Ascension.
Dang it. Did I say that in a public forum? It's okay. Not surprised.
Well, first of all, right, we have the right people in the room, right? We all have a common goal. And I think a lot of it is we're operating in our own silos. And for me, being here and listening to, you know, the experts and the resources here, it gives me more knowledge to give back to my line level staff to say, hey, we could connect and find answers, but it all starts here in networking and effective communication. When it comes to the Sheriff's Department, the pillars I think of are outreach and support services. We do have a behavioral health unit, bureau, both outside of custody, which is our patrol, as well as in custody in our jail operations. And we've been training our deputies, right? And you think about law enforcement as a whole, you know, helping our homeless population out there is out of our core function. But we understand when people call 911, they're looking for answers, they're looking for help. So the sheriff being very proactive in making sure that our line level staff, they're trained to make sure we connect with O&E and get those resources. And that's usually our first line, right? But now seeing great people around here is giving me a lot of ideas on how we could connect and use those resources. And when it comes to prevention, which is the other pillar, you know, I've been reassigned to our custody operations, the largest jail facility in Orange County, and we're working with CalAIM, Project Kinship, right, as the sheriff has spoken about re-entry programs and making sure that we connect our jail population to the right resources so when they do get released, you know, maybe we could stop all these negative persuasions and give them the right help. And we have programs within our jail facilities that they are getting an education and they're learning a skill set. We actually have a new program that deputies are actually mentoring our inmate population, which is first of its kind. And I'm getting involved in that as well. So, you know, I'm just hoping to give you guys this information so that we could exchange ideas and make it better as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm glad you talked about helping inmates understand what their options are when they leave. The very first point in time count that I ever did was right here in the county area. There was a lot of people experiencing homelessness, and many of them said, well, I just walked out of OTJ and here I am. So I'm glad that we're looking at that and trying to find strides to help people find their way into a different path. So thank you. Commissioner Vasquez.
Thank you so much. I come to the table with two perspectives. I am a council member of Santa Ana City Council, and we had our own point in time count where we lowered our houseless rate by 15% by doing prevention, outreach, support services, shelter, and housing. We knew we had to look at everything at all four to lower the houseless people in our district. And my perspective as a high school teacher, where we have McKinney-Vento kids in the state and the county, I think, are at 13, 15% McKinney-Vento. My school is 30%. So we have kids, 9 out of 9 students and 30 in my classroom are housing insecure, and at any time can go homeless. We used to be a district of 70,000 students. We are currently at 35, right? Because of housing is so high. And some of the harshest neighborhoods, a one-bedroom is $2,200. Our families cannot afford that. So the housing part is also important, along with the prevention. Everything is important, and we had to look at all of them. And I called, in 2024, I called us not to just criminalize the homeless, because that's what we were doing for so many years. That wasn't working. So I'm like, can we look at servicing our veterans? Can we make sure domestic violence workers are 50% of all the homeless houseless women on the street? Foster children, and look at the different populations that we out there and we serve them. And when our report came out just recently that we lowered by 15%, the city managers, you just scraped off the easy ones. I'm like, keep scraping them off, because we might have serviced 800 into housing, but we only lowered it by 100. That was our 50%. But the work has to continue the more. And police are part of it. I don't want to criminalize people, but the police have been a big factor. And we have some of our quality of life team officers are some of the people with the biggest hearts who have to make connections with the people on the street to build relationships, to get them onto from outreach into a shelter so they could get into housing. So we have to do all that work one step at a time. And the coordinating of services has to be there, as many people, and thank you everybody who's bringing it up, but that all has to be there, and especially from the streets, but also from the school district and the classrooms and these kids who we're losing by the tons, and who maybe for a week or 2 weeks need services because they might be sleeping in a car. And we had just recently reported we had 3 families sleeping on Edinger and Fairview, in a car on Edinger and Fairview at Stater Brothers, and we went and got him help. But this is normal in Santa Ana. It's normal when you knock on a door as you canvass. They open the door and there's a mattress in the living room and a mattress in the dining room, and every room is rented out. Right? That's normal for us. This is common, and it's not common in our media. It's not common in social media or any movies or TV shows, but that's how people are living in Santa Ana, where we're second highest in density and population, only to San Francisco in my ward. We're second high. San Francisco is going up stories, and we're 1-story houses, maybe 3 stories apartments, maybe. But for the most part, 2 and 1-story homes. So that's how, families are just stuck together. It used to be 2 families per household. Now we're looking at 3 and 4. So that's where the prevention comes in, and the housing. It all has to be in between. All the work has to come together, and it all has to be coordinated. And I'm here to bring as many resources and how Santa Ana has done it, but continue to do that work, and with the goal to lower every year as long as I'm in office. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would like us to make that not normal. I can tell you that one of our affordable housing developments that we opened last year, a boy who was 16 years old had never lived in his own room. He was used to sleeping on a mattress in the dining room, and he got his own room. It was like the best day ever for him, and that's how it should be. So, thank you. And getting that low-hanging fruit first, that was smart. Commissioner Rose.
Thank you. I'm here representing the South Spa City, so that's basically Irvine South. There's a lot of coordination going on among our cities. With the exception of a couple cities, we're all receiving law enforcement services from the Orange County Sheriff's Department. So there's incredible collaboration among our homeless services officers. More recently, cities have started hiring outreach workers to work with our unhoused residents. We all feel a commitment to these residents. Just because they're not housed, they're still our residents. So before, when we know we're going to get a lot of rains, we send people out into the creeks to make sure no one is there and they don't get hurt during these events. And so I think more recently where we've focused, at least for Lake Forest, is really on building affordable housing, which is, all of you know, is just an incredible lift. And so right now we have a project that is not age restricted, that's kind of sitting on the shelf because they're trying to get their funding together. We have a site. As a city, we've contributed $4 million, but it's still not enough. They still need to get more funding. So we're hopeful on that. We have another site in town we've identified for affordable housing. So we're trying to work with our neighbors to educate them on how affordable housing is a positive thing. And so we're working toward that. We think that is going to go through, but we really want to be part of the solution that when somebody is in a shelter, that there is somewhere for them to go. There is affordable housing. And so that's been a major focus. And one of the main reasons I'm here is to find what's available out there, what services. I share that with my colleagues in the South. And also really to be part of the solution. We want to see people be able to be successful, to have a permanent place to live.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Marks?
Hi, representing Orange County United Way, and just a bit of history. When we got involved with homelessness and looking at it, it started with commissioning UCI to do a cost study, and I think many of you are familiar with the cost study that was issued, and I think it really helped provide a lot of good information. For example, they probably haven't changed that 70% of people who fall into homelessness in Orange County, it's because of economic reasons, right? 1 million people are living paycheck to paycheck, right? And one paycheck loss can start a spiral. So all that being said is when we started United to End Homelessness, and it was to bring the business community in because there was some data out of that, at the time, we were managing homelessness as a community, and it would cost around $300 million in total for law enforcement and emergency rooms and nonprofits and the whole system. And if we housed everybody that was homeless, we'd save $40 million. So that was a pretty compelling story to get businesses involved. And I'm happy to say they're still involved, they're still engaged. And the other thing I'm happy to say, and I've told this to Doug, is we recently got philanthropic funding from a funder outside of Orange County who believed in the cost study, so we're going to redo it, which I'm very excited about for our community, have some updated information. So all that being said, out of that, there were some really specific things about the role that we could play in this, and one of them was to bring more people into the discussion and win more hearts and minds around our unhoused neighbors, right? Is that how do we get the community wanting to get involved and help? So to that end, we created a Homelessness 101 class. We have it at many businesses and clubs, and we've done it for HUD. And so, there's a lot of information. So if anybody's interested in having that at an organization, we're happy to do that. It just helped ground with facts and not trying to persuade somebody, but give them some really good facts so it gets rid of the myths. The other thing that we learned that we could help on the housing side is what we could do around providing trained advocates that could go to city council meetings and be that positive voice. And so we have trained 1,000 plus housing champions that can be on call in any city to go and help be that positive voice at a meeting about the importance of housing. And then we are always like, if there's a gap, can we help fill it? Is there something else we can do? And one of that ends at the time when we started was a landlord incentive program that could support the whole county. And so we started Welcome Home OC. And we just had information of this the other day. So this would be taking somebody with a housing voucher. We have 160 apartment owners around the county who are part of that. It's a very big collaboration. So we have nonprofits and service providers from different areas coming together and matching that up. And we help, we have a damage mitigation fund, so if the landlord's worried about things like that. But anyway, all that being said, just this week, we passed the 1,300 individual housed. And I think we should all feel good about that because it kind of started here. Out of that, 347 people were veterans, 192 were former foster youth, 142 families, and 171 seniors. So I think advocating for more vouchers for Orange County is always a good thing. We have amazing housing authorities here that we can work together. But I think if I had to summarize where we are is prevention. I think many of you know we brought in 211. So we're very focused on what we can do in prevention and some of the work we're doing in Title I schools to help at least 50 families that are identified by the schools every year about they're worried about homelessness. So again, those are things that we need funding to spread it more, but at least we're in 9 at this particular moment in time. So a lot going on in prevention. Somebody calls 211. We're trying to get them to a service provider that we know has rental assistance money or whatever we can do to stay with that person to make sure they don't take that spiral. So that's a big part. But on housing, how can we help, whether it's through the programs that we run or other programs that we've been partnering with CalOptima on, whatever it takes to fill a gap. I think there's 70-some nonprofits that are part of that. So what is that one thing that's standing in the way of somebody's homelessness, and administering those kind of programs wherever we can. But I'd love to come back and say, I'd love to see us take a stand on our population. So whether it's veterans or former foster youth or our youth or something, to say, let's have a big win. That's what I feel that everybody could in our community could be excited about, because I think things can get, kind of weary for people to hear about this. And people love to be part of a winning team. We don't have one. Oh, we do. We have the Ducks. We have a winning team here in Orange County. But I'd like to say that I think we should pick a team, whether it's, I don't care, veterans, youth, families, and let's go all in and make that happen. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Parks. Thank you for holding around so far this evening.
I'm hopeful.
It's early.
I can say that I personally appreciate the work that United Way does for all of us. Having this cost study is a way that we can actually help explain to people that have NIMBYism that it actually costs less if we house people that are unhoused. So I'm excited that you have a plan for this, to be able to come and do that again. Because for me personally, I need that data. So thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kelly.
So I sit in the Beaver Hall seat, but I really have, I was going to say I'm here because I owe Doug a favor, but, well, that is true as well. But, I watched my brother struggle with homelessness, and that was because of his justice involvement. And then my daughter, who fell into it initially because of intimate partner violence, and the struggles and the things that we tried to do to help that only hurt and made things worse. I think I'm really here to dispel the myths we have about what behavioral health is and is not. So for mental illness and substance use disorder, and then to remind everybody that there's a target on behavioral health to be the one to round up anyone who's unhoused and institutionalize them. And that is obviously not the way we solve our housing issue, but that is the legislative fix. And that's something that should be concerning to everyone in this room, because we are talking about taking away people's civil liberties. So that's a concern. I want to be able to share the resources that we have and to really educate about what we do, when we do it, that when is it appropriate to call the crisis assessment team, our CAT team, and when should it be O&E? Most of the time it should be O&E, not CAT. I think CAT just calls it O&E, and that's a waste of that resource. So I think my hope is we actually, from the behavioral health seat, we're addressing prevention, preventing folks from falling into homelessness. And when our services are cut, they will fall into homelessness. Outreach and supportive services so that people can remain housed. And then housing, we contribute a lot of funding to build housing and permanent supportive housing. But I think if we don't know how to leverage, I don't know it's so much, I think we all interact with each other, we just don't know it. Right? You don't know when you're calling a member of my team. I don't know when my folks are calling your teams. So I think that's a problem, and lots of folks talked about communication, how we can work better together. But I really want to be able to leverage our resources. We have so few resources. But if we can provide treatment for somebody, take them off of your waiting list, then we can treat the thing that actually prevents them from staying housed. That allows someone who's ready to be housed to be housed. So I think we just have to do a much better job of that. I look forward to doing it.
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly. I can say that when you did your Commissioner Spotlight a few months ago, I was like, wow, I cannot believe everything that comes out of your department organization. It's amazing what you do. And the stigma is real for people challenged with mental health. And we need to change that narrative. So thank you for your seat. Commissioner Shinagawa.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Shinagawa, yeah.
I'm gonna get it right. By the time I'm done being chair, I'm gonna get them all right.
Well, reflecting on what you were just talking about, Dr. Kelly, one of the things that I'm always struck by is how so many things in life are fragile, right? It doesn't take much for something, for those scales, right, to tip one way or the other. And I think about it in healthcare, right? So I'm the hospital representative, and with changes in HR1, for example, and maybe a couple 100,000 people off the rolls of CalOptima, what does that mean? Even for a health system like ours, it could mean $100 million, and we don't have $100 million, right? And so, the healthcare system is fragile, the safety net's fragile. But even like a person's life, right? You think about in healthcare, right? All it takes for many people that are elderly is one fall. And suddenly that spirals into a hip fracture that then, gets much worse, and then a nursing home, and then, and et cetera, et cetera. And likewise for an individual person, right? Many Americans are living just one paycheck away from not being able to support themselves anymore and potentially losing their housing, right? And so everything is so fragile. And I think though that while it's so fragile, and while those scales can tip negatively, it also doesn't take much for the scales to tip positively, right? Like little things can make a big difference. And I think for me, one of my most meaningful experiences 20 years ago when I was right out of college is I was volunteering at a place called a Drop-In Children's Center. And it was basically a place where, this is in New York, and where people could just drop off their kids so they could do job interviews. Right, and other, or even just go to the grocery store, things like that, right, to take care of just those small moments where they need help. And I would see how just something like that, right, 2 hours, so that somebody can get a job, do a job interview, and now how to get a job, and now have stability, right? Like how much something small can make a difference too. So I think that's why I really gravitate toward the work that the county does, that all of you do. And I think that UCI Health can really play a pivotal role for that. We have about 50,000 inpatients, so that's a captive audience for 4 to 10 to sometimes hundreds of days. And also we see about 1.5 million people in our clinics every year. And so that's a lot of opportunity for us to share the work that you're doing and connect from an outreach perspective. And at the same time, too, we really rely on the community to take care of our patients, especially those that are in the emergency room who don't have insurance. We have many patients who can't discharge because they can't qualify for housing because they have like medical issues. And so, places like Illumination Health and Home, who have great recuperative care programs, we rely on them, right, to be able to discharge patients. And we're at maximum capacity, so we need that, right, to be able to serve the community. So I think what resonates for me on those pillars, I would say that prevention, obviously as a healthcare person is important, but also just those outreach and supportive services. We can be the people that tip the scales in favor of people and turn their lives around.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bobko.
All right, I hate to close, but you guys have set such a high standard. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm the supervisor. But I'm like, this is a tough act.
I'm good if you want to close.
I'm not looking at those as you. So my name's Josh Bobko. I'm an emergency physician by training and still am, but I work full-time for the fire ward. And so I am just reflecting on everything that you all have said, because in my role, I literally have come into contact with different parts of the systems on different levels. And again, just to Commissioner Shinagawa's point, we have one of our partners that works in the ER, and he is passionate about mental health. And we were always like, well, there's heart attacks, and there's this, and there's that, and but he loves mental health, and we never understood it. And I will tell you, since I have been in my position working outside of the hospital, I suddenly see this entirely new spectrum that in the hospital, doing it for 25 years, all the training as an emergency physician, you all bring people to us that can't navigate, don't know where to go, don't have a way to fit in. And I had no idea what to do with you, or how to help, or how I could plug in. I have been super blessed with the opportunity that I have on the EMS side, that I can do something and I can make connections with UCI, and I can make connections with behavioral health. And but what I've noticed and what really drew me to the commission after speaking with Doug and actually listening to Dr. Nelson talk about street medicine in Santa Ana, the fact that there are these persistent gaps, and we all sort of recognize where they are, and I'm honored to be here to be part of reducing those gaps. And I just want to give just a quick example. Recently, the whole county, multiple agencies, my agency, healthcare agency, multiple hospitals, have all been working or had been working on one person. And it had been, we had over 300 911 calls from one person. And that doesn't even include the other agencies that were involved, which to me feels like such a missed opportunity, right? Like whether it's family, whether it's the person themselves, whether it's a bystander, whether it's a business, everybody's saying, here's a thing, can you help this thing? And we just keep doing the same cycle. And we pick them up, and then do we call 911? Is law enforcement involved? Is CAT involved? We take them to the ER, they stay for 3 days, and then what, right? So, I think as we're reflecting on this, and as you pose to us, like what it means to each of us, I just think we can do better. And again, I'm so humbled to be sitting here working with all of you, knowing what you're all doing. I just want to be a small part. But if I can share any of our information or any of these processes, that person that we had worked on had crossed everyone's path. And we've all spoken about the communication. I think the communication's okay, but I do think structurally we're sort of set up to work in parallel, not in partnership. And I think sort of this commission is an opportunity to remove some of those barriers and begin some information sharing. And I think, I can't remember, somebody had spoken about data. It's super excited about data. I don't know if there's a formal way to share data, but I think maybe that's something that would be a first step. How, as a commission, with all of the different systems that we have at our disposal, how do we share that data to really make a difference? Even using these individuals that we come into contact with all the time to be a model for a much bigger change. So I'll just leave with that, and I'll be in the ER Thursday night if anybody's down south. I'm so humbled and honored and really excited about the work that we can get accomplished, and I'm here for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Falco. We can do much better, and I think that with the group in this room, we're actually going to make that happen. Okay, Commissioner Wynn, bring it on home.
We have the CEO.
Do we want the CEO to mention why she's here? Okay, Michelle.
Is this one working? Yeah. I typically don't think that thank you, Supervisor, for the opportunity to speak. I was going to say, where do I even begin? I have been, blessed to be a part of what I like to call our OC Cares initiative. And it really started back in 2015 with the Stepping Up initiative and then our Integrated Services initiative. And we've gotten a lot done, but there's a lot more work to do. And for me, it's about the people because, obviously we're all children of God, and there's not one person that's not, salvageable. And so we focus on the people and really what's the right thing to do. It makes it a lot easier. And I've had lots of conversations with individuals that are in custody. We just wrapped our arms around one individual who was released from custody back in, at the end of October, beginning of November, who would have otherwise been homeless, I believe, without the assistance that he was provided, the whatever it takes attitude. And just somebody, right, a small group of people just believing in this individual. One of the things that I hear a lot, the themes, right, is the collaboration. I liked what you said about we work in parallel rather than, together. And that's one of the things we've been trying to break down, especially over the last few years. And I know when I work, I do a lot of linking of, either entities or individuals so that we're all working together. But sometimes what I find is it's a competition for resources. So as we're all challenged, because we're already challenged with a lack of resources and reductions from the federal government to state government, revenues, at least here at the county, that are not growing like they used to, that we don't put ourselves against each other, but that we continue to work together and just know that this is a challenging time. And working together is better, right? Because we can pool our resources. And I agree with the prevention because we've gotten so far, right? That we really do need to focus on that prevention piece. And then working together. And I see it as public, private, nonprofit. So when there are things that are happening that are really going to bring it all together, I believe, but I would say like just don't give up, right? Keep doing it. Even when we don't have resources, reach out to each other and pull your resources. It's not, I hate when it's a competition for resources, right? If we're feeling like that, then that's an issue. We should be applying maybe for that grant opportunity together rather than against each other. So I just know I appreciate everybody in this room. And it's so interesting because everything comes full service, right? My Girl Scout troop commissioner did their silver award at his house so many years ago. It was back in 2012. But so it's just, I was at the I wanted to call it the Same Day Solution Fair. I wanted to call it the Resource Fair over at, the Presbyterian Church in his house, and was at the one in Santa Ana at your church. And just, it's people coming together to do good. So just keep doing it. Thank you. Supervisor?
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Commissioner Wynn, bring it on home.
Thank you. So I'm going to look back as my perspective as more of a policymaker. And I'll tell you, 15 years ago when I sat in this seat as a county supervisor representing actually including Santa Ana, one of the things that I noticed back then was that our our armory, and I remember going there one night, there were families that went in there. And at the time, we never removed those families. We had them sectioned out in an area, and there's all the adults. And then knowing that the shelter closes at 5 a.m., so these families had to leave the shelter at 5 a.m. and walked around until school started for the kids. So I remember that, and what I did back then as a county supervisor, we implemented any time a family shows up in our army, we remove them. Any family with children under under 18, or remove immediately and into a hotel or a motel. And then the next day, the county came in and worked on, finding ways to help the family into either transition to permanent housing, jobs, or whatever care they need. That was an initiative I started over 15 years ago as a county supervisor. And that's where my heart has always been, is trying to make sure that we find these permanent housing. And on a personal experience, when I was also a county supervisor, as you know, the OC Veterans Resources Office is part of the county as well. My brother served in the Marines, and he finished his service time, and we did not know he was homeless. And every time we would be like, okay, let's go to so-and-so's house this weekend, he would show up, we would show up, and no one knew he was homeless. And one time, my husband and I showed up a little early, and we saw his truck all the way down the street. And we were like, why is he here so early? So we went over and looked in his truck, and he had his mattress in there and all this. And he's always said, oh yeah, next time's at my place. Okay, yeah, just let us know. And we did not know that he was, he served in Iraq. Right after September 11th, he was the Marines that were drafted to Iraq. And he was there for the 4 months. They fought that war, ended the war, and, came home. But that trauma there, the war there, it hasn't left him. And so he was facing the very, very typical veteran who young, leaves the military service, went to war, starting all over, trying to get a job, trying to get housing. And remember, at this time, I was a county supervisor. I had the resources in my hand. I knew where those resources are. But I didn't know that my brother was homeless, which really got me into really working. One of my top priorities in my entire 22 years being in public office is to help our veterans. And so we got him the help that he needed with Long Beach Vet Hospital in the community over there. And he has a job full-time, everything now. But that's where I think is where my heart falls in, is that we need to help and we need to find a way. We need to have a unique way and think outside the box. Because I'll tell you, as a former legislator, and I know, the comments saying that, the legislature wants, not to say that they want to, book everybody, and it's that we have spent billions and billions of dollars in this state. How do we justify to the taxpayer, to those who are paying into the billions of dollars, over 20 billions that has been spent in the last several years in California in homelessness, and yet Orange County numbers has doubled. So how do I justify to my own constituents, the million that I represent as a senator, whenever I came home, people go, well, I don't know, you talked about all this funding that you guys have funded in homelessness and it hasn't gone away. And so that's where my frustration is. And when I came back here, I want to be on this commission to figure out what have we done right. Let's continue it and enhance it, double it, triple that effort. What we have done wrong. Let's eliminate those programs. Let's start over or think outside the box and figure out what else we can do. That's what we have to do because the coordination is lacking. You're absolutely right. Because I see North County Hope system works phenomenal, but yet I guarantee you that system is not communicating with South County or my district. I represent La Palma, Cypress, Los Al, Rossmore, Garden Grove, Westminster, Fountainville, Huntington Beach, and Seal Beach. They're not in coordination with each other. That's where we need is that the county, though, I believe, we can be the one who help and really bring everybody together because the resources come, and that's where our CEO stated is that we should not be competing against each other. We're in the same county, we service the same people, we're trying to help the same people, and we all have the same goal. So instead of fighting each other, if we coordinate our funding, coordinate our efforts, I think we go a lot further. And we definitely, compared to LA or San Diego, we are night and day. We are so well done in Orange County, but we have so much more to do. And it's not just Santa Ana, Garden Grove, Westminster, all of them, there's tons of homes that shares rooms. It's not just in my district, there's homes in Costa Mesa. Orange County has always been seen as we're the affluent community, we're not. I remember traveling to DC, met with Senator Feinstein and Boxer, and they're like, why are you here asking for housing funding? I said, because we need housing. What do you mean? They're like, oh, well, you've got Newport Beach. And I'm like, we're not only in Newport Beach, we're the whole county. We're the third largest county. We go between third and second. Third and, us and San Diego go back and forth in terms of 100,000 difference, up or down. But we would have to pitch to folks to tell them that we are not the affluent only community. We do have needs and we do have folks that needs the help and we need the federal government and the state as well. And so my effort has been is really trying to work and coordinate with the federal government, and particularly the new NOFA that's coming out and the coordination between the county and some of the cities like Huntington Beach, to figure out an innovative way to get funding for the new NOFA. We can't be sitting here and say, well, we don't like it. We don't have a choice in the next few years. It is what it is. And let's jump onto that train and be the model in the nation versus sitting back and being angry of what has been offered, right? It's not, we don't have a choice, so let's get at the table. I got into politics to be at the table and not be on the menu. I'd rather choose what to eat than to be on the menu to be eaten. And so, that's where we really need to is, maximizing our federal funding efforts in our state, making sure that we have rehabs, facility, treatment centers. That is so critical because the folks who are homeless are what? Their families that are homeless, loss of jobs, etc. Those individuals are being helped as fast as we can from all of you and from the county. You have drug addicts, you have those who are on alcohol or mental health. Those are really, that's it. There's no other bases out there. If we can't get them in treatment, what else is left? They're just going to go from one city to the next city, go back to that same city, go to the other city. They're just going to cycle around. But it is very inhumane of us to not help them. We cannot leave them out there on the street to die. We have to do whatever we can here collectively to help. We need to help promote them, but not just giving them housing though. We got to give them an opportunity to keep there and be there without us. We can help them get into housing, but if they fall back into drugs, they fall back and they don't have a job, then we cycle back into the system. So it's not just the effort of housing, but we need to help them to be self-sufficient, to get them off the street and to do better so that they can release those fundings to the next person to be helped. So I think, whether that's, actively helping out with the, moving them from homelessness to treatment to housing, permanent housing, temporary housing, behavioral health care, that's where we need to do is, but at the end of the day though, I'm hoping that, with all the brain power here and the influential of every one of you here, we can come together and really think outside the box. Because you have to admit it, it's not working as well as we want it to currently. It isn't. Because if it is, I would not be told every day, why is there still more homeless individuals in my neighborhood or in this shopping center in that area in my district? We're never going to ever solve it 100%. We know that. But I think we can get very close. But we have to think outside the box because the current system, some parts working, the others aren't because the results are still not where it should be.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that's a great way to end everyone's comments. I really appreciate everyone being very truthful, really speaking from your hearts. We do have all the ingredients in this room to actually solve this crisis. Obviously, prevention, outreach, housing, and shelter is important, but the two other words that I heard were communication and collaboration. And so I learned things today that I didn't know that each of you were bringing to the table. I feel incredibly safe because we have all of our medical care here and our police force, which is making me feel safe. But I hope this gives all of you a little bit of insight too of how you might be able to reach across the table to someone you might not know well and say, hey, something you said resonated with me, and I think that we can collaborate on this. And as we're going through through this commission, I want us to talk more openly like that. It's important to our county, it's important to our residents that we are trying to bring them to the forefront and trying to address this homeless crisis once and for all. So, thank you for all these notes. I can't wait to go just absorb all of them. And then let me see if I can stay on track with my script here. We will now move on to action items on the agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please read the next item?
Item 4 is the recommendation to approve for appointment the following candidates to serve on the Commission to Address Homelessness and send to the Board of Supervisors for final approval for Karen Lockie, Behavioral Health Bureau Lieutenant at the Orange County Sheriff Corner Department Representative. And we have no request from the public to speak on this item.
Move it.
Call for a vote, right? So first of all, I should say thank you to our membership ad hoc committee for supporting the recruitment of this seat and for working to review the applications to make this recommendation to the commission. Are there any other details that you want to provide, Doug, before we call for a vote?
Thank you, Chair. The only item I want to mention is that the membership ad hoc is continuing to evaluate candidates for the North Spa representatives. So I had mentioned that at the next meeting, the membership ad hoc will bring back a candidate.
Thank you. And if you're not speaking, commissioners, if you could turn your microphone off so if someone needs to speak, they're not struggling, trying to get that on. So after that, is there any more discussion about bringing the vote for the new commissioner? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Was Supervisor Wynn? Second? Was Commissioner Parks? All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? I'm just making this up. Okay, Madam Clerk, will you please read the next item?
Yes, and item 5 is to approve the commission to address homelessness minutes from the February 18th, 2026 regular meeting. We have no request from the public to speak on this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do any commissioners have any comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Thank you. Second? Thank you, Commissioner Parks. What am I supposed to say? Now I'm sweating. Oh, it should be on my script, but I can't seem to follow it, Doug.
That's okay.
That's okay. Can't seem to turn the page. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, pass. Okay, that concludes the meeting of the Commission to Address Homelessness. We are now adjourned, and our regularly scheduled next meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 17th at 1 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Good job. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
All right.